your joy.
Yes, being intentional about my joy. My father was killed in 2012, so for his 5 year, his for the fifth year, we had Chris. It was the day before Christmas Eve, so for the fifth year, we had Christmas at my sister's house. All my mom and dad's kids, and our kids, and we stayed together for like 2 3 days and just had Christmas. All woke up together, and Christmas morning, we're making breakfast, and the kids are all just sitting there. And my youngest niece, who I want to say was maybe 3 at the time, just looked around and said, she was like, "This is beautiful." And I was like, in my heart, my eyes swelled up with tears. I felt that in my heart. It didn't make me happy to hear. I was already happy, like being around my family, but I felt joy when she said that, because it felt like a little flutter. And the fact that, and she felt joy in saying that, because that's probably what brought that out. That she was so full that as a 3-year-old, she just looked around and realized that this is beautiful. Within in the same moment, as an adult, I'm looking like, wow, this is beautiful. And I felt so joyous in that. I don't always feel happy all the time. In fact, I live with a lot of sadness, from a lot of grief or loss, but I always have my joy. I think it was like, my aunt was in the hospital on life support, and my brother and I laughed at like an inside joke we had in the moment as we're in the waiting room. And everyone was so upset with us that we found anything funny in that moment. And I felt so shameful and I felt so bad that I could find anything funny in this moment at all. And my family is, we're going through a devastation right now. And I spent a little bit of time like, well, why do I feel bad that even in that I was able to still feel something and still feel joy? And I don't think it's ever an inappropriate time to express that. I don't. I was great. It made me more grateful that in the midst of that, because while I wasn't happy right then, I was not happy, because our family is going through this enormous traumatic event right now. But the joy I know is deep down inside me and in my heart came out in a moment where that was all that could come out.
You're right.
And I realized, like, it's never the wrong time to express your joy. It's not. Meantime, I had broken up with my son's dad and separated from my family. I wasn't happy, and wasn't really feeling a lot of joy. And we, kept trying to go back and forth, and it just wasn't working. So I had my son with me, living kind of with this person and that with my mom. And so I got on my feet, and just, I think because of kind of the residual things that happen when you grieve. And I don't want anybody, when they say these stages of grief, okay, they're stages, but there's not order to them.
Mm-hmm.
There's not process. There's not a set time period. So stop trying to organize and categorize everything all the time and just experience it, because it comes and goes all the time. And you never know. You don't really have control over it until it comes. You decide how you're going to let it flow and process. But in that time, I just wasn't able to be stable and keep a job. I would break down at work. I wouldn't get up. I would be, just call off. I would sit on the couch until my son got home and get up and clean everything up so he wouldn't see how I really was existing when he wasn't home. Mm-hmm. So when I separated from his dad and I'm living place to place, I couldn't keep a job. And then when I finally would get something stable and good, it was kind of like the rug would be pulled from under me again. I lived out of a suitcase, a duffel bag, and like a clothes hamper for probably like 2 years, just going here, there, and, setting up shop here a little bit. I think I moved the most one year, maybe 2017. I moved like 6 times in 1 year. And that was like to my sisters, then to my exes, back to my sisters, to my god sisters, to a cousins, to my moms. In the back somewhere to exes, until it was kind of like, this is it. I cannot do this anymore. Something has to change. Stop. And I saw a friend who, I used to sit in a coffee shop. I'm a resident coffee shopper. Okay.
Yes.
And
if I ever want to know where to find Sharee, I'm going to go to the local coffee shop. That's where we last.
So he walks past, he saw me, he comes in, he was like, "Friend, this time next year, you're going to be right where I'm at." And he was working for the city. And I didn't really think about it, but I had a friend who told me when I was like 30, he's like, I just don't want you to be 35 and broke. And I kept thinking about that, right? And then I had a friend before who said to me, you're addicted to the struggle, because it was like something was always happening. And I remember those two things. You see in me that I have more potential, I can do more, but you don't want me to be broke at 35. And you obviously feel like all I want to do is struggle. So these were the thoughts in my mindset. Those are not abundant thoughts. Those are thoughts that are consistent with the mindset of like, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be broke. Instead of, I'm going to be abundant. I'm going to be abundant. I'll have abundance.
Right.
I have an abundance of wealth. I have an abundance of joy. I have an abundance of peace. I have an abundance of clarity. I have an abundance of fulfillment. But when you're saying, oh, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be broke. It keeps you in like a desperate, lacking mindset. When you say, oh, I am addicted to the struggle. And I would think like, oh, maybe I am. So that perpetuation of that thought and mindset made it seem like, again, I am losing this, and this. I lost my place. I lost this. I lost my relationship. I lost my car. I'm calling, and because I was going from place to place and job to job, I would get like little in between jobs. Mind you, I have a bachelor's degree. I've had a great resume, great experience, but it was just something. I wasn't being able to get a job, and then a job that would pay me what I was worth, or doing something I wanted to be fulfilled. At that point in my life, I'm like, I'm not just taking anything. I've worked hard, regardless of where I'm at currently in life. I have worked hard enough that I can get a job that I like and pays well. I'm not just going to settle for something. And I didn't. And part of it was an excuse for me, because settling for things in that time in my life meant I had to be inconvenienced.
Yeah.
I had to be, if the only job that's going to hire me is a warehouse job, I was not willing to go to do that. Meanwhile, I had people in my family, way older, doing that just to do whatever they had to do to get by at that time in their life. And I wasn't willing to do that. So again, my mindset, it made it seem like I was losing all these opportunities, when I started being honest with myself, I probably would have been out of my situation a lot sooner if I would have humbled myself and sacrificed my comfortability. I was already uncomfortable. I'm living on people's couches, So if I would have sacrificed and got past my uncomfortability and that mindset, I would have been out of that place a lot longer. And you don't get a chance to get your bearings and your footing because something else happens. And it's not like, oh yeah, and then I lost a job, or then I lost this. It's life-changing things, time after time after time after time. In between, I've had a baby cousin die, uncle who died, and just family members who died. But these people were immediate people within arm's reach in my life. A best friend, a friend's mom, people that I saw on a regular, consistent basis. And so in the meantime, now I'm making decisions because of the things I'm going through. I'm making a lot of decisions that are consistent with what I'm struggling with and not consistent with the life I want. Because innately I can't, I wasn't being able to help it.
Yeah.
You look up and you're like, oh, I did do that. Why?
Yeah.
Oh, because I feel this, I feel out of control. I feel angry. I feel confused. I feel all those different stages of grief.
Yeah.
So I just remember when my niece died, I said, I had such a beautiful moment with like the Most High. I was in my living room and I'm like pretending to praise and worship and dance and being really, dramatic. And then I started really just getting into it and feeling it for real. And I had such a beautiful experience and just felt love and fullness and joy and peace and completeness and wholeness in like a moment. And it felt full, and I could feel that. I could feel that physical energy. And I found out later that evening my niece died. So I'm like, why would you have me feel this and go through this? And then this shit happens. Then this happens. And I heard clear as day. Clear as day. Now, earlier when I'm praising and worshiping in my living room playing, I look over and I see a picture of myself. And I remember my self-worth and my self-value was very low. Very low. But when I perform, when I'm on stage or behind a microphone or I'm talking and inspiring people, whatever I got going on kind of sheds, and I give what I've been purposed to give, genuinely and wholly. And so I looked at a picture from probably the week or two before then when I had spoke at a mother-daughter tea at Christmas Addicts. And I looked so happy and joyful, and it was me. I don't like this pretty frilly pink dress with a pair of Chucks. So it was like really girly, and I had heels on the whole time. And then I think I was like, you know what? I gotta take these off, y'all. I gotta put on my sneakers because I don't even feel like myself. So, and I looked at the picture as I'm praising and worshiping, like, I love me. And I just had looked at me and I was like, I am my best friend. I'm a cool person. I'm a beautiful person. I'm in here just having the time of my life by myself. And I said, I wish, this was something people got to know about me. I wish people could see me like I see myself, like, just see me, and I've always just wanted to be seen. And not in like an attention way, but from being younger and going through, different types of abuse or things, I was always seen and protected by people who could, when they could. And I always got attention for like school and stuff. And I was the youngest. So I was like everybody's baby. But, when things happen to you that you're not protected from or people don't know to protect you from because they don't know what's happening, you don't feel seen because you're like, somebody should know this is happening. Somebody should tell I'm acting different, or somebody should know that somebody did this to me. And you don't know how to express that or say it, but you're like, somebody, like, and I'm a parent now, so I understand how when you're young and you're a parent, and my parents had their own issues and struggles that they did the best they could with what they had at that time. And sometimes we are just collateral damage to the issues that are generational or in our family. And I think from there, like, why didn't somebody see enough to protect me from certain things? Always made me just want to be seen for the beyond this. I want you to see into me. And I never had somebody see into me beyond like my family and my sister. My older sister is my absolute best friend. Because she's always seen me, and she's the person who like saved me from that and saw that and told on that. And so I think always wanting to be seen, right? So I'm looking at myself and I'm dancing and I felt me. I was like, I am like my own best friend. And I don't care what anybody says, like, I feel so amazing and joyful and full in this moment. And I'm dancing. And I said, I wish somebody could see me and know that in me, but like move all the stuff, remove my promiscuity, remove my rejection issues, remove my abandonment, remove my wanting to be approved of or accepted, and just see just me, just that like light that I see through all like that darkness. I just wanted somebody to see that. And I heard clear as day again. I said, I wish somebody just knew me. And it was like, I know you. And I just stopped and was like, and took a deep breath. And I don't know if you ever listened to Tasha Cobbs.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a song called You Know My Name.
Mm-hmm.
And I got, because I was praise dancing, right? So I got YouTube playing. And when I heard I Know You, and then You Know My Name comes on the next song, right? And when I tell you, Michelle, I broke down in the middle of my living room right over here. And I was like, and I felt just like this, like I was embraced like this. And I just sat like this and let myself feel that. And I said, I know for a fact I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact I am seen and I am worthy and valuable. Mm-hmm. Even if I don't feel it and act it all the time. Mm-hmm. I have to have that knowing, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember again, low self-esteem, low self-worth, low value. But I looked at a picture of myself where I felt powerful and I felt joyful and I felt in control and I felt like, oh, what I'm giving is really true and authentic. And I said, I can feel this all the time, mm-hmm. regardless. Mm-hmm. And I felt those things in the midst of all that going on, right? So when I asked, why would you do this? Why would you take my niece and you just let me have this beautiful moment with you? And to feel that and to feel like so safe and secure and certain. And then this, when you know how I act when stuff like this happens, it's like everything sweeps from under me. And it's like, no, so you know who I am. I heard that clear as day too. So you'll know who I am. So just like you felt comforted and safe and peaceful when I told you I see you, I know you, I still know you, and you still can feel comfortable and safe and peaceful, and you're not going to navigate this the way you have in the past.
You have how you're feeling, then you counteract that with your truth, then you counteract that with what are the ways that you're not acting in that truth. We have to be willing to admit where we are wrong.
Yep.
If we want to.
And make that, because that's a part of our truth too.
Yeah. That's
One of the, and when we say like own your truth, tell your truth. One of the activities in Lisa Nichols' book Abundance Now came out 2017, so I'm not going to ask her to give me any plugs for this.
but still.
But if you want
I
to give me
love
a free ticket to Speak and Write to make millions in October, you can, Aunt Lisa Nichols, okay? But everybody, Abundance Now, Lisa Nichols, one of her, and I love her books because it's not just telling you stuff, she gives you literal actual assignments and breaks them down on how to do them. I have a book, I think a friend of mine has it right now, but it's all written in and notes in it. But one of the exercises she does, and that I still do in practice, because we always will tell ourselves lies until we get into the mindset of I don't tell myself lies. I know and realize and recognize a lie about myself or to myself immediately. So it was to write down the lie that you tell yourself. So the lie would be what? I'm not worthy. Because that is a lie.
Right.
It is a lie, regardless of how low, ugly, bad, whatever. How bad of a person, because I feel like, well, you don't know your worth, value, and all that stuff. Now, there's outliers, but for the most part, the people that struggle with the things we've struggled with and our audience that we resonate with, when you tell yourself a lie that you believe. So I'll give you an example. You tell yourself a lie. So the lie was, and I'll say this, I'm put out, men only want me for sex. I'm only good enough for sex. That's a lie.
That, girl.
That's a lie. But it was a truth I was telling myself. It was a truth I allowed myself to believe. It was a truth that manifested itself in my life. It was a truth that perpetuated itself in my life, you know?
Because then your actions followed that belief.
And my actions follow that, because if I feel like this is what I'm good for, this is what I'm useful for. And the truth was, I am attractive, smart, and valuable, and have so much more to offer to a man than my body. And that is the truth. And that is, it's my truth now. It wasn't then. And when I wrote it, it wasn't what I believed.
Right.
But she said, you write your lie in a pencil. You write the truth right under. You skip a line, write the lie, but you leave that line and then you write your truth in a pen.
I like that.
And so I did that. And when I tell you I have notebooks with pages and pages of lies. And then I took, when I was like, well, I can't even remember the truth. She said, don't even write your truth yet. We're not at that part. So it's like pages of just lies I told myself. And even if I didn't know it was a lie, I just wrote the stuff I felt bad about with myself, because I said anything I feel bad about can't be like true for me. My dad didn't love me. I wasn't worth my dad sticking around to take care of us. What would I as a child do to my father that would make him not love me, want me, or stick around for me? Nothing. Nothing. I have nothing to do with that. And I don't blame him for that. But I also don't blame myself. That's not true. And it might have took me becoming a parent that might not have been present or that wasn't around and that struggled with my stuff that kept me from being the parent I wanted to be, to realize like that's not the truth, because I never felt that way and wanted that to feel that way. So when I started telling myself the truth, and then, a lie that, I can get what I want regardless of how I act, was a lie. Because the truth is that my actions and behaviors are a direct reflection of how I really feel. And my actions and behavior, or my lack of consistency, is what's going to keep me from getting those things. So the truth, that's a lie. However I act, I don't have to get these things in order. I'm going to still get what I want and what I need. No, the truth is, without discipline and consistency, you won't have the things you want. Only through discipline and consistency will you achieve the things you want to achieve. Before, there was a time I was so comfortable in it that it was like, let me just work this out. Let me get this too. I don't care what resources are available. I don't like this feeling. I don't want it. So I'm not going to have it again. So when anything started looking familiar, instead of like comfortably allowing myself to go back into that space of, you know what, bump it, I'm not going to have control. I'm not going to be disciplined. I was like, I see you, girl. You tried it. All right.
You call it
You
out.
don't have the cash. Stop. So, and just be like, let me find out I had a little balance at next pay period from little decisions. And I'm intentional about that. So I think when we look at like, how am I surviving? This is whoever's watching and on the replays and everything, just I want you to think about in what areas am I just surviving and making it, just barely making it, or even just kind of the conundrum of life going through, because that's not thriving. You got to think when you're saying a garden is thriving,
Mm-hmm.
things are just growing. They're like in abundance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, that is thriving. Like my garden is thriving. You know, my locks, they're thriving because they're growing and they're moisturizing long. It's not just, they're not just here, it's thriving.
Mm.
You know, so I think when it's going from surviving to barely making it to keeping things together, holding things together, you know, I pull it together to like, no, all things work out for my good.
Yeah.
I trust all things work together for my good. I've been called according to a purpose. So I know that and I move in that. Going to be okay even when you look like you're not. And when you believe that, you will be.
Right.
So make it a core belief to like thrive, that I deserve joy. I deserve to thrive. I can thrive in any circumstance. I can feel joy in any circumstance.